Hey guys, it's Oberstadt. In today's video, I am finally doing my final review of the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Dollhouse palette. I am wearing my final two looks, so I have the very last row, which is green on this eye, and the next to the last row on this eye, which is kind of out there. Even if you do this, it doesn't look that bad. I got a little crazy with the outside edge. So I have officially used every row in this palette. I have used every shade at least once, and I have tested out multiple different eye primers with this palette to see which ones perform the best, which ones, redneck alert, which ones don't perform the best, and which ones do maybe fucking avoid. So if you have, I don't know, an inkling that you might want this palette, then keep watching because I'm going to break it all down in this video and we're going to get down and dirty. So grab a snack, a drink, and have a seat. Let's go. Okay, so first things first, I found that this palette does not like silicone primers. Avoid them. Silicone based eye primers are a no-no. They do not like that product at all. I have tried the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. I tried the Elizabeth Mott eyeshadow primer potion or primer, and it did not like either of them. The Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas one, it was okay with it. Of course, it creased really bad with that primer. So if you have older eyelids or if your eyelids are prone to creasing, just be careful with that. Make sure you double up with a glitter glue in order to get the product to stay. The one that I found actually worked the best out of all of the 4 primers that I tried was from the Beauty Crop. And let me see if I can put my fingers on it really quick so I can show it to you. Knocking stuff over. This is the Stuck on You eyeshadow primer. I'm not quite sure if this one has silicone in it. It's got the little label stuck on it, so let me see if I can peel this up really quick. So the first ingredient is coconut oil, and then there's carnauba wax, and then there is silica, and then vitamin E, and then a microcrystalline wax. So there's oils and waxes in here. So this is not a silicone based primer, which I think is probably why it seemed to like it the most, was because it had that emollient base that it needed. But I noticed that it didn't, like where my mobile lid is here, it didn't like separate and get all weird and funky with that primer. It was the only one it didn't do that with. So that one is like the #1 top hit for me primer wise with this palette. The other second, very close second, would be anytime I use the glitter glue from BH Cosmetics. This is their base booster. And then both of these eye looks have this JD Glow glitter adhesive on them. So I have it mixed in with all of the shimmer shades so that they stay on. And this stuff, I used this morning with a look. It is currently 10 o'clock at night, and I've just done 2 more eye looks. So this is the 4th set of eye looks that I've done today. I used this morning, mixed it with all the shimmer shades from the Blend Bunny Cosmetics palettes, and I found that it worked amazing, and none of my shadows creased with that. So these are very, very good items. The other item that I have from JD Glow that also works really well with the shimmers in here is the Stay Put from JD Glow. It's a liquid formula. You can either put it on like a mixing tray and then mix your brush into it once you already have pigment put on the brush, or you can get your brush wet and then dip into the palette, but then you risk hard pan. So it just depends on what you want to risk. So those were primers and adhesives that I found that worked the best at keeping the shadows on longer. With this palette, I didn't have any problems with the shadows being patchy or not blending out well. And I did kind of do like a reverse smoky eye with this one, where I put the lighter shades on the outside and a darker shade on the very inner corner. And if you look what that does to my face. It makes my face seem even more narrow. So that was interesting. I've been wanting to try this technique for a while, and I saved a girl's video on YouTube. I'll leave her link down below. I don't think she's active anymore, but it's like saved at the very top of like my watch later list for like over 2 years now. And I finally said, you know what, I'll do it. This isn't exactly like hers, but she did dark to light instead of dark to light. Which, you know, is basically a reverse smoky eye. And that's what I was looking for back then. But then I never did the reverse smoky eye thing. And then people are now doing the reverse cat eye or fox eye or whatever, reverse, whatever. It's where they do like the wing liner from the bottom lash line instead of the top. Or, I don't know, it's weird. Some new weird TikTok bullshit. And I will never be on TikTok. I can tell you that right now. I will never join TikTok. So I'm really happy with how these two final looks. There were like one or two that I was kind of meh on, but that was more along the lines of the colors than anything. The very first row in here is very, very neutral, but then you have this like orange shade. And it kind of threw me off because it's an orange shade in a neutral row. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a peachy shade. You have like this bronze down here, you have a copper up here, you have like a light salmon, and then you have orange, and then you have like a brown. So it's the neutral row. I don't know, it was just kind of weird to see that shade in there. And there's also a shade similar to it in the Mykayla palette. Let me get that really quick. Where are you? There it is. If you have the Mykayla palette, it's the same kind of orange as the Gemini shade, which is this one here. It's the very top row, that like orangey kind of like neutral shade. I don't know, it just, something about it, it kind of just threw me off. Other than that one color, I really didn't have anything negative to say about any of the other shades. Even this like weird Madame shade, which I used right here on my lid today, is like this weird like baby shit olive green color. And then the color above it is like straight up pea green, like squashed pea green. Baby food is what that reminds me of. It's a very unappealing green shade to me, and green is my favorite color. So I don't really care for the olives, but I mean, it turned out a very beautiful neutral looking eye look, and I think it turned out gorgeous. Some of the shades lean more cool tone, especially when you look at them, and then when you put them on the eye, they definitely do turn a little bit more on the gray side. So that was kind of interesting to get some of these colors. So you're like, oh, that's purple. You put it on, you're like, no, that's gray with a little purple. Okay, I can work with that. So there was a few things that like kind of threw me off, and the really, really like deep dark row in here. I mean, this is really, I love seeing the diversity between light and dark, because that means anybody can use this eyeshadow palette. I don't care what the fuck color your skin is. Everybody should be able to use this palette. Everybody. I mean, even Nima Tang, if I could send her PR, I would buy this palette and send it to her just to see how well this works on her. And she's really dark, but she's beautiful. But I also think that all of these tones in here, there's probably a couple that would not look quite as fantastic on her, but I'm sure she would figure out how to get these to work, because I think even with how deep her skin tone is, all of these shades would work on her. And I think these shimmers would be amazing on her too, even the top row. So I'm really glad that I picked it up. Of course, the other palette is up here. This is the Surge palette, and then I have the Blends palette down here. Now, I did tend to use her brushes with this palette for many reasons. One, I noticed with the first two palettes, I had some issues with patchiness and shadows not blending well, or not being able to pick them up properly. Or apply them properly, because my brushes just didn't seem to want to grab onto the pigment in the shadow. So I started like, especially with this look, I started with one of her brushes, and then I moved to another brush from another brand to blend things out, to work with some of the other colors. So I found that depending on what color I was working with, whether it was a very, very light tone that looked very sheer or wasn't picking up very good, or like the super deep dark tones that came and looked very patchy on the skin. I found that they worked better with her brushes than with some of the other brushes that I have. Now these brushes work really good at like blending out the colors and laying down like some of the lighter colors and stuff like that, and they worked really well at blending the colors. But when it came to placement, her brushes really were the best option. And I've tried, these are what I've been using with this palette. Every one of these brushes I've used with this palette. Well, fine, you're just going to stay on the damn floor. All of these brushes I've used with this palette, plus another Wet n Wild brush that's similar to this. It's now sitting on the floor laughing at me after it wiped shimmer shade on my pants. Asshole. Anyways, so let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 7 brushes were not from Blend Bunnies, but then all the rest of these are her brushes. These are her 5 set of brushes that I picked up. So I really did notice a huge difference when trying to use her brushes versus using the other brushes that I have. Because I noticed that they seem to work so much better with her shadows. So I'm probably going to go back through with some of my more difficult shadows that I have, especially like the Fade into Hue palette that I have from ColourPop, the So Jaded that I had a couple of issues with. And I want to see if using her brushes that she came out with, see if these actually help some of those more patchy shadows look less patchy, because there's like something magical about these brushes, and I don't know what it is, but I really am glad that I picked them up. They were like $32, I think. I will leave the brushes and all 3 palettes linked down below. I do not have an affiliate with Maggie or Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I think her name is Maggie. She doesn't know who I am. She's never sent me PR. I've never won any of her giveaways. I've never really interacted with her other than, you know, like sharing things on my stories and then her saying thanks or something like that in a DM. That's about as much interaction as I've had with her. I do not edit my looks. I don't edit the saturation of the videos. I don't edit the colors that I put on. So I'm not going to be like a brand's best friend. There are a few girls that I see doing looks with these palettes that like edit the footage to filth. Like one girl, I looked at her look and it was beautiful, and I went to zoom in to see how she blended certain things, and then I noticed the lines of the look were pixelated, so I could tell that she had edited the look, and that just broke my heart because the look was beautiful. But then I realized that it wasn't real because she had edited it so much, it was no longer a real look, in my opinion. And so I know for a fact brand owners won't share my work. Number 1, I'm 41. 2, I'm a retired cosmetologist. I've worked in this field. I've worked on clients, but I also don't edit anything. And I give my honest opinion on things. That's probably why Nomad Cosmetics will not share my work. Even though I'm friendly with Felicia, I've done business with, I don't know what they're breaking now. I'm about to go whoop somebody's ass. Bubby, what are you doing? Okay, if you're right there, then what was that noise? He was on the tub. Huh? If you're right here, come here, monster. What? Okay, if you're right here, what was that noise? This purring. I got a kitty. Hi. Mommy makeup pretty? That's my nose. Anyways, they're getting used to the new house. So I know because number 1, I have a big mouth. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. And I might not always say what is PC or what they want to hear. So like when I said I had issues with the blends palette, I did. I had a ton of issues with it. I had issues with it being patchy and not building and not blending and not working no matter what I put underneath of it. No matter how I worked with it, no matter what brushes I used, I had issues with it. And then I bought the brushes, and then I was like, and I did say in those videos, maybe it's my brushes. I did make sure to say that so that people weren't like, well, maybe you're just bad at eyeshadow. Well, you know what, fuck you. You know, to be honest, that's what I would say. Fuck you. You know, I've been wearing eyeshadow for a very long time. But the thing is that when I got her brushes and I started using her brushes with her palettes, I was like, there is a difference in how these shadows perform with her brushes. And so maybe it was my brushes. Maybe it was a lack of skill. Maybe it was the primer that I used, because I did test out 4 different primers with this and found that there's certain primers that these palettes just do not work well with. And it's sometimes it's trial and error like that, where you're testing out a product for several weeks. In my case, I've tried this out for at least 2 weeks, and I've had I did a Valentine's Day look with it this morning. I've used all, was it 6 rows in here? 1, 2, 3, yeah, all 6 rows. So I've done at least 7 looks total with this, whether it's like 2, I know 2 of the times that I did the same look on each eye, so that's one look each there, so that's 2. But I've used all of these rows once at least, so that's 6 different looks, plus the Valentine's Day look that I did this morning, which I kind of like used a bunch of different colors out of here. And then I did like my first impressions, which I did 2 looks for. So there's quite a bit of use that I've gotten out of this palette. And if you look, this palette is kind of like beat up. The shimmer shades definitely look a little trashed, because they're very, very soft. But the mattes and stuff still look pretty good. There's a little bit of kick up that comes with it. There's a very, very minimal fallout, unlike with some of especially her first palette. There was a lot more fallout with the matte shades, but I'm glad I have them all. I'm glad that I have all 3 of them. And I'm glad I bought the brushes, because it really does show me personally that the brushes did make a big difference in her palettes. So anyways, that is my final thoughts on the Blend Bunny's Dollhouse palette. I am excited to see where she goes with this brand. I don't have a code, so I just use Grace, was it Gracie or Gracie 10? That it's somebody that I'm friendly with on social media. We were going to do a collab a while back, and then I kind of got blown off. So, I mean, we don't talk very much anymore, so I don't know if she still likes me or not. I don't think she follows my YouTube channel. She really just does like Instagram and Twitter, and I think she has a TikTok. I don't know. But to be honest, I just use her code for it. I think Blend Beast has one as well. He's friends with the owners of CXC Beauty. I think Neferet might have a code for them. So if I can find some discount codes for you, I will also leave those down in the description box if you are interested in picking up any of these palettes or the brushes, because if I had to go back, would I pick up the initial Blends palette? Knowing what I know now about the brushes, I would. But if I was to go back without the brushes, I wouldn't. I would not pick up this palette, because it just didn't work for me until I bought these. So it's all personal preference, I guess, at that point, on whether or not you think it's worth it. But they each have like different color stories, and I will be doing comparison swatches for all 3. Now that I've got all 3, I will do color story swatches so you can see those. So be prepared for a lengthy video. I will try and get that filmed this weekend so that I can get that edited and whatnot. So yeah, that is my final thoughts on the Blend Bunny's Dollhouse palette. Leave your comments, questions, suggestions, whatever in the comment section down below. Your comments really do help encourage growth on my channel. I've been losing like subscribers like crazy due to closed accounts, so I'm glad to see they're going. I just wish YouTube would do a huge purge, and anybody that hasn't been on my channel in a year gets off. Would I drop below 1,000 subscribers? Probably. But I would be happier knowing that people that watch my channel are still subscribed, and people that don't watch my channel are no longer subscribed. If I don't watch a channel after a month, I unsubscribe, because it's like, if they're doing stuff that I'm not interested in, then I unsubscribe. And if you guys notice that I'm doing something that you're not happy with, then say something and ask me to do something a little different. Of course, I will never do another ASMR. I have already stated that before. I've gotten questions about that again recently, and I will not do those anymore. They're still on the channel, but I refuse to do them anymore. So I do have some cooking videos coming, and some like moving vlogs and motorcycle vlogs and stuff like that. I still have not put the GoPro on the new helmet since I broke the last one. So yeah, I gotta get that done, but there's all kinds of new stuff coming that I've got to get edited. I've got so much video footage to get edited, it's not even funny. So anyways, I'm Rebecca Oberstadt. I will see you guys in another video very soon. Have a fantabulous day or night wherever you are.